Ending your separation too soon could cost you your marriage. Quick and easy reconciling promotes continued affairs and emotional distancing. Today, I will give you some clear guidelines for rebuilding and living together again. Ending an affair and rebuilding a marriage is a multi-step process. The separation step follows the intervention. If you've done an affair intervention, then you have given your spouse a choice between you and the other person, initiated a physical separation when your spouse did not end all contact with the other man or woman, and had good separation boundaries to prevent your spouse from being able to have his or her cake and eat it too. These are important and necessary steps for ending a spouse's affair. You may have also had to do extra work to build your relationship before doing an intervention, otherwise known as an ultimatum in this situation. Naturally, you are eager to get back to a monogamous, intact, loving relationship with your spouse. The goal of separation after an affair is reconciling. That requires motivating your spouse to give up the affair partner and to reconcile. Your interactions will be positive. Although your spouse may feel like your reason for separation is punishment, that is not what it is about. There is no place in marriage for punishment. Separation is to create the conditions necessary for rebuilding love, trust, and commitment. That includes ending the affair, rebuilding your trust, and mutual recommitment. If your only goals are to get your spouse to end his or her affair and then to live together as soon as possible, love and trust are not likely to be restored. The desire to get back to a restored marriage leads many people to end their separation too soon. There are a few serious risks with prematurely ending your separation. These include your spouse is likely to lose his or her motivation to continue to build your marriage once living together again. And your spouse may not have had time to go through the grief stage of losing his or her affair partner. Also, new positive relationship patterns between you and your spouse have not yet stabilized. And your spouse may learn that separations are not such a big deal, which increases the risk of another affair. What these four problems have in common is a lack of commitment to your marriage. Also, they reflect too much ease in getting back together. Anything that we can get easily, we are not going to value much. You may find that once your spouse moves back in, he or she continues to emotionally distance and neglect your relationship in favor of time alone or with others rather than with you. All of these problems can be avoided by doing one thing: rebuilding your relationship before living together again. Success is always a matter of doing the right steps in the right order at the right pace. When things aren't going well, this is the first place to check for problems. Rebuilding comes before living together. Building your marriage before living together recreates the conditions you had with your spouse before marriage, such as you grow together in a stepwise fashion without pressure. Trust is gradually developed. You're not together every day, which helps to keep feelings strong. And you both form new habits for the way you talk to each other, do things together, and think about each other. Additionally, you commit only after trust, love, and commitment are developed, just like you did the first time. To their detriment, some people do things in a different order, both when getting married and when reconciling after an affair. Can you imagine being a single person with a cheating partner and saying, "Well, I guess we can get married and work on having a good marriage after that"? The people who do this marry hoping for change, but actually get more of the same. Their marriages fail in the first year, though they may remain married for several more. Love and commitment come before marriage, just as they do before living together after an affair. Otherwise, repeated affairs and divorces are highly likely. What if your spouse is remorseful? Is remorse enough to reconcile after cheating? Your spouse's remorse is not enough reason to end a separation. Remorse is a feeling that without action does nothing to rebuild a relationship. The same goes for promises. Being sorry doesn't really fix anything. If your spouse cheated was remorseful, and came to you on his or her own without you needing to confront, then that is genuine remorse. Remorse that comes only after being caught is likely due to consequences. It is not empathetic. Rather, the remorse is driven by fear of losing you, losing a good reputation, losing money, losing child custody, or losing something else. Except for those potential losses, there would be no remorse at all. Even if your spouse is groveling, pleading, crying, and vomiting, I would not see that as any indication of change. I would see it as an attempt to get you to change your mind about something, like separation, for example. We can see the same behavior in children who stop crying as soon as they get what they want. This after-the-fact remorse is not a bad thing, though. It's at least an admission of guilt, even if not a heartfelt one. It puts you in a position to require change if you are to reconcile. Boundaries must not be dropped with an abusive man or woman as long as they continue to abuse. Otherwise, they will continue to abuse. The same goes for a cheating man or a woman. Let's talk about what predicts whether a cheating spouse will cheat again. Once a cheater, always a cheater? Well, that's usually true if the right steps are not taken. And the sooner the steps are taken, the more effective they are at preventing future cheating. Men and women learn from their first cheating experience how much they risk losing their marriage if they do it again. Unfortunately, many people learn that it isn't very risky at all. God allows divorce in the case of affairs. I think that's a very loving thing. It means that even with conservative Christian couples, an affair could well precipitate a divorce. That is a big help in preventing them. Don't promise to never divorce. A promise to never divorce your spouse is not a loving one because it makes it easier for him or her to be tempted away from your marriage. Being a loving spouse and secure enough to divorce your spouse if he or she cheats on you is a very loving way to be. Those two things help to hold your marriage together. That doesn't just benefit you, it benefits your spouse as well. Unconditional love and commitment foster disrespect and affairs. There is a reason that Jesus talked more about hell than heaven. It is because he loves us and wants to preserve our relationship with him. The God of the Bible is the best example you will ever have of both love and boundaries. The only way you can have a spouse who continues to cheat on you is to continue to stay with one who does. Make sure that you don't reconcile over your spouse's threats to divorce. If your spouse is only willing to work on your relationship if you are living together, your best move is to tell your spouse to divorce you. He or she is trying to force living together and is highly motivated to do so. But once you agree to live together and work on your marriage, you will find that the motivation to reconcile is gone. There may be a few initial attempts, but then a total loss of interest. If you are valuable to your spouse, then he or she will be willing to build your relationship while separated. He or she will do that in order not to lose you. This is just like telling a partner before marriage, "I'm glad you are interested in marrying me, but first we will need to develop trust and love, make sure we can really sustain it. And if you're not willing to do that, then you are not the right person for me, and I am not the right person for you." Successfully ending a spouse's affair and rebuilding a marriage requires both love and strong boundaries. Neither one on its own will do the job. You must be willing to lose your marriage in order to save it. People who sign up for my coaching package for ending a spouse's affair are always thankful for how to word such things to their spouse in a loving yet strong way. Women will also find examples in my book, A Christian Guide to Preventing and Ending Men's Affairs. What do you say to your cheating spouse when he or she has given up the other person and wants to reconcile? Well, until your spouse gives up his or her affair partner completely, you will be using separation boundaries. However, when he or she does give up the affair, you still have more work to do and must do that before living together again. Most people who give up an affair partner restart their affair within 1 week of doing so. As much as you would just like to reconcile quickly, it is your job to slow down the rebuilding enough to 1. Be sure the affair has ended. 2. Gradually redevelop trust. 3. Make sure that a real emotional connection is created. 4. Give your spouse time to work through feelings of loss. And 5. Make sure your relationship is positive and stable. When your spouse wants to reconcile, say this: "I'm so glad you want to reconcile with me. I would like that too. And I hope it is possible." In order for us to see if it is, we will need to stay separated and start our relationship over like we did in the beginning. If we can restore trust, fall in love again, and commit to being with each other for the rest of our lives, then we will be able to live together again. Before we both have trust, commitment, and love, it will make no sense for us to live together. It's really important that you not guarantee reconciling or that you commit before your relationship is restored. Your spouse will work to get your commitment, but if he or she already has it, then not much work will be done. Relationship improvement will stall. Your spouse won't fall in love with you, and you will be left with a friendship relationship, never able to get your spouse's commitment, no matter how hard you try. Remember, people only commit to get what they value and which they would otherwise lose. So, let's get to this question. When do you let a cheating spouse move back in? I hesitate to tell you the amount of time that should pass before you live together because so many people misunderstand numbers. If I say 3 months, for example, many people will get together in 3 months, even if they are not at the point of rebuilt trust, love, and commitment. It's similar to the question, how long should I date someone before marrying them? Now, I would suggest a minimum of 6 months for that, but it doesn't mean that you should marry someone you have dated 6 months. Maybe it will take much longer, or maybe they should be rejected for someone else. It's quite possible that you find you and your spouse cannot reconcile no matter how much time has gone by. In that case, do not live together, as that will make an already bad situation even worse. The same as for people who marry hoping their spouse will change. Living together always takes a hit on a relationship due to increased neutral and negative time together. Getting married and living together do not fix problems. That being said, my guideline is 3 months of stable, positive interaction prior to living together again. If problems arise during that time, restart the count. You want 3 continuous, positive, stable interaction. Keep in mind that many marriages fail shortly after living together following a separation. If your relationship with your husband or wife has been positive and stable for at least 3 months, you are less likely to run into problems once living together again. Before you do that, make it clear to your spouse that living together is a trial. Say something like, "We can try living together again. I've been looking forward to that. But if our relationship does not continue to build, or you cheat on me again, then I will divorce you. I hope that doesn't happen, but I want you to be fully informed. This is your last chance, so make sure you are really ready to commit." This is a strong and a loving thing to say. Needy people cannot stop affairs. At no time are you trying to please your spouse. Instead, you are creating the conditions of a loving and respectful relationship. God has a lot of rules for the same reason. He wants to create conditions for health, happiness, and a close relationship with Him. A God who would let us do whatever would not be a loving God at all. The same is true for human parents. Love and boundaries go hand in hand. When you do live together again, your relationship won't be completely smooth sailing. No relationship is. But if your relationship is taking on water, you need to separate or file for divorce before it capsizes. File for divorce if your spouse refuses the second separation. Why would I tell you to separate or file for divorce? Because not to do so would be to ensure the end of your marriage. I want you to have the best chance of reconnecting. Just as it is sometimes necessary to amputate a limb to save a life, it is sometimes necessary to separate or file for divorce to save a marriage. No one wants to, of course, but you have to consider what the alternative would be. Can a marriage survive an affair? Marriages can and do survive affairs. The affair rate is higher than the divorce rate. This means that many marriages do survive after affairs, although many do not. There are many factors that go into that, but some of them are under your control. Always focus on the aspects of your relationship that are under your control. A few of the factors contributing to successfully reconciling after an affair are: 1. It is a first affair. 2. It is a first marriage. 3. The pre-affair marital relationship was good. 4. The faithful spouse is secure. 5. The faithful spouse is independent. 6. The amount of work required for the unfaithful spouse to reconcile. And 7. Re-establishing love, trust, and commitment before reconciling. These are not the only factors. You could be a very secure and loving spouse in a first marriage and have a husband or wife who repeatedly cheats. Personality and psychological issues certainly come into play. You should know that it is possible to have a strong relationship after there has been an affair. Most people do not actually find the happiness they were seeking in an affair. If their spouse has done a good job in keeping both respect and connection, then the person having an affair is often grateful for the chance to try again to make their marriage work. Make sure you don't give up just because your spouse has not yet reached that stage. Instead, help him or her to get there. If reconciling after cheating fails, you still have multiple options. If reconciling attempts don't work, you need to recognize that the cheating will continue. Acceptable choices when spouses continue to cheat are: 1. Stay in the marriage and make the best of it, or 2. Divorce. We are not commanded to stay with a cheating spouse, but we are commanded to love our spouse. There is an unacceptable choice when your spouse continues to cheat. That poor choice is to stay with an unfaithful person while maintaining distance or conflict. This would not please God, would not help you, and would not help your spouse. You would be cutting off your nose to spite your face. Now, there is an additional but difficult acceptable choice for both Christians and non-Christians, and that is to separate without divorcing while continuing to have good boundaries. In this case, treat your spouse well while being faithful, maintaining good boundaries, and praying for God to intervene. I really respect people who can do that. I really don't think I could, and that is my failing. I don't have any excuse for it. You should know that marriage counseling does not end affairs. Never get marriage counseling during an affair. That would only make it more likely that your relationship would end. If your spouse desires to go to counseling with you after ending the affair, then you can make that part of the process of growing your relationship. If cheating recurs, end the counseling. Continuing counseling would only maintain your spouse's ambivalence while reducing your spouse's fear of divorce. An option you do have while your spouse is being unfaithful is marriage coaching. Marriage coaching will help you to create the right conditions to end an affair and reconcile. Let me tell you about one of my previous clients. Donna had been married for only 5 years when she started working with me to end her husband's affair. He had reconnected with a previous partner and said they were only friends. Donna realized that wasn't true as her husband became more distant, more neglectful, and started petty arguments. I helped Donna to stop all conflict and attempts to talk with her husband about her suspicions. Those were only reassuring him of how important he was to Donna and maintaining the distance. Instead, I had Donna decrease her interactions with her husband while using good connection skills. Next, Donna confronted her husband and gave him the option to end his affair or to separate and move toward divorce and the absolute end of their relationship. Her husband strongly did not want that, but would not give up his connection with the previous partner until they were separated. It was at that time that Donna was using good separation boundaries, though she needed a lot of personal support to be strong enough to save her marriage. It was a couple of months before her husband ended the affair and several more months before they had rebuilt their marriage. Importantly, she was prepared to divorce if her husband cheated again, and he knew it. For every woman like Donna, there are 10 others who give in to their anger or fear, damaging the marriage while failing to end the affair. If you are a woman, I recommend you get my book, A Christian Guide to Preventing and Ending Men's Affairs. It will guide you with all the steps, which will make what you need to do clearer, though not necessarily easier. Help is available for both men and women who have unfaithful spouses. Marriage coaching can help you to use proper boundaries while promoting a good connection between you and your spouse. This is something to do on your own and not as a couple. My coaching package for ending a spouse's affair will help you to maintain the balance between relationship building and good boundaries, something that many people struggle with on their own. You have the right to divorce your spouse for being unfaithful, and it could be the best option for you. But I want to make sure you know that restoring your marriage is another option that many people do.